fish then professionally? Was that at that restaurant?
The restaurants. Cut the finger too. A lot.
We got to fix it. We got to fix it. We got to get right. We got to fix it.
私は田島洋次です。遠足レストランで働いています。
And I'm Carole Iida-Nakayama, and I'm also from Soto Restaurant.
今日はマナガツオと石垣鯛という魚の刺身とお寿司を作らせていただきます。I'm from Shimonoseki city, which is Honshu Island. When I growing up, I wanna go to without the city. I was 18 years old. I went to Osaka. That time, my father told me, "You have to remember this fish taste. Otherwise, you miss for fish." When I come here, I don't wanna work sushi restaurant. In Japan, they have a different part. Tempura chef, eel chef, sushi chef, and kaiseki chef. So totally different. Kaiseki chef more knowledge, everything. But sushi chef was no season, so always consistency, same job. Nice restaurant, sushi restaurant, they charge $500, $600. It's not only sushi, so they have a little appetizer, everything. So they have to know everything for fish.
So in Los Angeles, we are really lucky that we have some of the best sushi in the country. I think one of the most interesting things about naka and soto is seeing Yoji coming in and being such a great sushi chef, but not just sushi, but also just the way he approaches fish in general. That's something you don't always see at an izakaya. Izakayas are supposed to be casual. They're supposed to be beer and yakitori and fun and all that. And that's what Soto is in a lot of respects. It is more casual. It is very fun to be there. That's just not the Soto style. So I love that, Carole and Nikki have gotten someone like Yoji to come in and serve gorgeous fish, and you're getting these cuts of fish, the kinds of fish that you don't see everywhere. And I think what's actually fantastic about it is that it's very Japanese, but very Los Angeles.
My upbringing is very different from Chef Yoji's. I'm true LA native. I was born over in Torrance, so kind of grew up in that very Japanese American community that was in Torrance and still is, and then migrated more inland because my parents, they worked their way up through different restaurants, having come to the States as immigrants. And it was basically like we didn't have a babysitter, so we would end up there, helping to wash dishes or peel potatoes or fry up tempura or whatever was needed. And I tried to go the office route because I went to college, thought I was going to have a normal office job type career. And after about 6 years doing different digital media kind of project management role jobs, I realized I hated it. Like, I just could not sit in an office. But once I was back in the kitchen working with them, it just was like, okay, this just all feels so natural and just feels right compared to all the office work and jobs that I had had. When I first met Yoji, I felt that he was a very open chef when it came to how he approaches the type of people he works with, or just in terms of his approach to how he feels towards guests and what his role is as the sushi chef. I think he's so naturally just a kind person and approachable, but he's not in it to do the show part. And for something like Soto, we really needed somebody who had that technical skill, but who also wasn't hungry for that showmanship side, because we don't have a sushi bar.
When you're living in a city where you can get that quality in places that you're not, necessarily having to spend the $400 or the sit down, the whole formal experience. I love that, at In Soto, it's opened up kind of that world.
For us, it felt like, oh, if we're going to find a very Japanese chef with the experience and knowledge that we need to do the fish and the raw side menu at the level we need it to be or we would like it to be. So it's really important that he had a very calm, kind demeanor and can show the staff through example more than through, exact verbal communication. He definitely fit the bill, and we're just like really excited when we met him.
これはマナガツオです。こんなに立派なマナガツオはあんまり取れないです。今日はちょっと金たわしを使います。どうしてかというと鱗が飛び散るし、汚くなっちゃうし、こっちの方が早いので。これをやったら今から頭を取ります。内臓を取ってで洗います。
That helps the knife and everything from not slipping as much, and then you really want to just remove moisture on the exterior as much as possible so that you have a firmer grip of the fish and everything going on is not as slippery.
でこの魚は骨が柔らかいので、たまに骨を身を切らないで骨を切ってしまいます。
It's such a flat fish that the angle of the knife is really important so that you're preserving as much of the flesh as possible. You can tell a little bit of the soft bones remained on there. So he's trying to clean it up a little bit.
これは石垣鯛です。じゃあこれはすき引き。
So this is a descaling technique where we actually use the knife to cut the scales off. So for particular fish like this is a very common method as opposed to scrubbing. Some fish may have very tough scales, but you will not be able to cut it and slice it off in this manner. Yeah, this is kind of a faster, cleaner, easier way to get rid of scales on a fish like this. So you can tell he's being really careful to get up through these like thorny spines. Because when he's going to be filleting it, those are the areas where he'll be inserting the knife. So you want to make sure those areas are descaled so that it's easier to get your knife through without making a mess of the scales.
じゃあもう一回確認のために。頭を落として、
Okay, so now he's removed the head.
でお腹のところを割って、で天然の魚なのにこんなに脂があるってすごいことだ。
So the fact that it's so fatty, this is a very, very fatty gut system here. That means the fish is going to taste delicious.
でちょっとお腹骨のところの血の袋をちょっと包丁で。
So a lot of times with Japanese fish, it's really important to get rid of the excess blood because it's the blood that creates the fishy, foul odors and tastes. So we take extra good care to always. This is a very basic Japanese technique where you use a bunch of little bamboo skewers and they're just rubber banded together, and so you use this end of it to scrape out that bloodline.
じゃあまた下ろしていきます。じゃあお腹の骨を取って。
So if you see how he inserted the knife on this to remove this bones, the knife will be upside down.
じゃあこっちはこうですね。
Yeah. So you see how the edge is facing upward?
でこっ
So
ちは
then
こうやって骨を起こします。 で次に包丁を入れやすいように。
With Japanese fish cutting, we're always wearing no gloves because the ability to feel for the bones, that's really important. So it's really difficult. I know we have different sort of rules and regulations depending on events or where we're traveling to. But for Japanese chefs, it's usually a very, very difficult thing to try and cut fish with gloves on.
じゃあ皮を引きます。この皮引きのポイントは包丁をこうやって動かしてこっちの手はこうやって動かすというコンビネーションでやります。次はマナガツオの皮を引きます。これはさっきみたいにこういう風には引かないので、これはこういう風に自分のなんていうのかな、ここの包丁の角度を使ってじゃあ寿司ライスを混ぜます。じゃあちょっとシャリスが馴染みやすいようにちょっとだけで最初に少しだけ入れてどのくらいご飯が馴染むかわかんないので。
So now this method where it looks like he's almost slicing through, that's really important. The whole goal of this process is to help the rice kernels absorb the sushi vinegar and not leave any clumps, because the clumped up rice balls or little nuggets of rice are really horrible for sushi. Like, it just ruins the mouthfeel, and it means it hasn't absorbed, every single kernel hasn't absorbed the vinegar. So it's really important to try and get every single kernel, every single grain of the rice to absorb evenly.
じゃあちょっとだけ冷まします。
And now he has to let it cool off a little bit, because if you use it right away, it'll be too hot and still a little bit too moist. So the wood helps it absorb some of the excess moisture, and it also gives off a really nice fragrance to the rice that's very subtle.
じゃあ寿司を作ります。とりあえずマナガツオをスライスします。でちょっと噛みやすいように包丁でちょっと醤油が絡むように包丁でちょっと隠し包丁を入れておきます。ちょっと手を濡らしてちょっとだけ丸くご飯を握ってこんな感じでちょっとここに穴を入れて
Ball the rice in your hand lightly without smashing it, and then if you notice
こ
when
んな
he
感じで
puts it onto his
わさびを
fish,
で
and then he's poking a hole with
ち
his
ょっと空
thumb
気を中に入れて
to allow air, like a little air pocket, which is
こんな感じで
what helps give the sushi a little beautiful mouthfeel.
じゃあ次は石垣台です。
Kind of measure out by feel the amount of rice,
わさび
wasabi,
寿司ライス
shape the sushi rice without compressing it too much.
じゃあ石垣台の刺身を作ります。 大根おろしとネギと
ネ
生姜と、はい、
ギ、ジンジャー。
あとわさびと。はい、石垣大刺身です。OK。じゃあ次はマナガツオのお刺身です。6枚スライスして、それで金柑と柚子胡椒を混ぜた次に、酢味噌ですね。酢味噌を少しだけ。
This is a miso sauce that has some vinegar,
砂糖、
sugar, and then
酒、ソイソース、
sake soy
酒、
sauce. This one is sansho.
山椒ミックス with a ポン酢ソース we call 山椒ポン酢で、このガーニッシュを適当に。
So then this kind of just free-forming, assembling the garnishes together that he cut earlier this morning. He's got some daikon, watermelon radish, carrots, fennel. So at the restaurant, we don't have a lot of space for a sushi station, and so a lot of times when it gets busy, he's on his own to just kind of assemble everything from that station, and so he's gotten pretty good at spontaneously choosing his garnishes and kind of feeling what feels right when he's plating.
Hi、遠外の幼児です。今度の LA フードショーにフードボールに来てください。